Hey guys, I have some business to take care of before the video gets started. I want to thank Deadly Horror 101 for the opportunity to collaborate with him and several other really talented narrators. I will leave a link to Deadly Horror 101's channel in the description box below. That way you can see our video. Be sure to subscribe to his channel. I really like the guy. He's very nice, very talented as well. And if you guys like my new intro, Nathan Deuce TV made that happen for me as well. Nathan will be working with me on a huge deep web collaboration coming up as well. I want you guys to go over to Nathan's channel. I will leave a link in the description for his channel as well. Be sure to subscribe to his channel. He's up to some great narrating as well, guys. So that's Nathan Deuce TV. And one other thing to add. I'm going to have some new, fresh music on my channel. I want you guys to go ahead and check out a guy, super talented guitarist and vocalist. His name is Dylan Mize. I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the description box below. Dylan's going to be working with me on some awesome and just creepy, terrifying guitar riffs, different music for upcoming videos, whatever we feel like doing. So he's just a subscriber just like you guys. Super nice guy. We've been talking and looks like we're going to do some amazing work together. I really want to make our channel as entertaining as possible. I feel like Dylan adds a huge element to that. So be sure to check out his work. He's an amazing musician. He has a YouTube channel as well. His channel features some live performances as well, so be sure to subscribe to Dylan Mize. Thanks a lot, brother. Without any further ado, let's begin. Number 1. I grew up as an only child in a small house in the Hollywood Hills, before housing prices in the neighborhood skyrocketed. My parents were not the helicoptering type, perhaps because they themselves grew up in a small, safe town in the Midwest in the 1950s and 60s. I spent my childhood roaming the neighborhood and hills, playing imaginary little stories through my head. I had a couple of local friends over the years, but generally there were no kids in our neighborhood. It really wasn't the place to raise children. It wasn't a great part of Hollywood at the time, and the 101 freeway was quite literally in our backyard. Most of the streets were unpaved, and there were no sidewalks. Mostly it was populated with aging hippie types and struggling actors. So 90% of the time, I played and wandered alone. One day, my mother picked me up from school and we headed home. Once through the door, we did the usual, kicked our shoes off, shouldered off our school and work bags, greeted the cats, and attended to the blinking red light on the answering machine. I think I so vividly remember our usual little routine that day, because what cut through it next was so unusual and unsettling, and rang in such sharp contrast to the comfortable little world I'd always felt so safe within. I was maybe 8 or 9 at the time, and this was definitely a moment of innocence lost. There was only one message. A man's voice, grinning, invaded the little house. I would love so much to scare your daughter. Then he laughed, maniacal sounding and exaggerated. It would have sounded like the guffaw of a villain in some movie, but it didn't. Despite the obvious theatrics, it didn't sound that way because it was real. It was far scarier than any fiction. The laughter was loud, long, and drawn out. I didn't even hear the end of it. My mom hit stop on the player, cutting him off abruptly, but his presence still hung heavily in the air. My little world had been irrevocably disturbed. I remember my mom playing it off very casually, telling me that it was nothing, and that I shouldn't be afraid. I recall how shocking her composure was. How was that nothing? Shouldn't I be afraid? Why wasn't she afraid? Looking back now, I realized she was putting up a front for my benefit. Whenever I've brought this up to her now, as an adult, she seems to sort of vaguely remember it and goes, "Oh, yeah, I don't know what that was. Just someone playing a prank." I'm shocked, honestly, that my parents didn't go to the police with that. That's not what I would consider a prank. To this day, I think my mom is still trying to downplay it. She grows uncomfortable when I bring it up. Anyway, after that incident, I could never really fully enjoy myself when I was out in the neighborhood again. I always wondered if that man was somewhere in the hills, watching. Number 2. 22-year-old male here. This is my first time posting a story to Reddit, but here we go. About 10 years ago, my mom and I were alone in our house for the weekend, while my dad was on a business trip, somewhere out west Kansas, I believe. It was just the two of us and I was only 11 years old, but we lived in a pretty safe suburban neighborhood on the East Coast, so we weren't too worried. My dad also traveled often, so we were pretty used to being alone at night. The first night he was away, we were awoken by the sound of a loud banging on our front door at 2 a.m. We were sharing a bed and I felt my mom spring up out of the bed as she began searching for her glasses on the nightstand, wondering who would be outside during the dead of night. As she peered out of the bedroom window, she saw a large figure, dressed as a delivery driver, standing directly outside the front of the house, looking through our downstairs windows. There was no delivery truck in sight, and wasn't holding any boxes or anything. My mom turned white, and I could see the fear in her eyes as she told me to get into the closet and that she was going to call the police. From the closet, I could hear her footsteps as she creeped down the hallway. She made her way towards the gun safe. She returned minutes later with a pistol in her hand and locked the bedroom door. I could tell she was trying to remain as calm as possible, as she kept assuring me the police were on their way and that we were going to be okay. At this point, the knocking had turned into the man outside, screaming and throwing rocks and debris at the house. He was claiming he had an important delivery and he needed my mom's signature. He also claimed he knew my father wasn't home, which made my mother's heart drop. We had 2 cars and my dad's was parked at the airport. About 10 minutes had passed and all the ruckus stopped. My mom and I exchanged looks before she opened the closet door to see blue and red lights down the block. The intruder must have seen the lights and ran off before the police arrived, because they never caught him. After about an hour of the police talking to my mom, we got in the car and decided to stay at her sister's house till my father returned. I now live outside of Philadelphia, but once in a while, I find myself wondering whatever happened to that man, and what would have happened if he had gotten inside our home. So creepy late-night delivery man, let's not meet. Number 3. I was around 16 to 17 years old when this happened. I'm 28 now. For some context, I was a poor high school student studying in a town located around 300 kilometers from my home. I lived in rural Moldavian Republic and studied in Romania, where I had a scholarship to cover most of my expenses. Now, back to the story. After winter vacation had ended, I was returning home by train. Now, the train station was a really desolated place. There weren't any apartment buildings for almost 1 kilometer. The train arrived at 11 p.m., and the buses circulated until around 11 p.m. This was Romania, so no actual reliable schedule. I was alone, and there was a significant walking distance from the train station to my high school campus dorm. But taking a taxi was far too expensive for me back then, and I didn't want to bother any of my friends or colleagues. So the stupid teenager I was proceeds to think I can simply walk to the nearest bus station, and if I'm lucky, I'll get a bus. If not, then I'll just walk to the campus, around an hour away. I got out of the train and it was a cold, dark night. The area around the train station was completely desolated, except for a few Romani shacks, gypsies if you're more familiar with the term. These were scattered around. I proceed to start walking towards the campus. After a few minutes, I think I hear something behind me, and I get a dreadful feeling. I ignore it and start walking faster. A few more seconds pass, and I can hear someone calling me in a raspy voice. "Hey, beauty, why in such a hurry? Wait for me." I'm really creeped out, but I can't find the courage to look behind me, so I start walking even faster. The guy behind me keeps up. I can now hear his footsteps. I get scared and proceed to walk the fastest I can, without actually running. I hear him behind me now. Now that's not nice. Where do you think you're going? I turn my head and see a dirty, shaggy man looking in his 30s. At this point, I'm really scared, beyond trying to keep my calm scared. The area around me is pitch black and silent. There are no houses, no people, and even no streets that have any traffic around. And I don't have a cell phone. This happened more than 10 years ago in Romania, and I was poor. I proceed to run. I run as fast as I can towards the nearest populated circulated street. I run as fast as I can towards the nearest populated street that I can think of. I can hear him running behind me, not only keeping up, but catching up with me. I reach the nearest circulated street, and he is 2 steps behind me yelling angrily, "Where do you think you're going?" 2 seconds pass by and I see a small bus. I was nowhere near a bus station, but I started moving my hands and gesturing frantically, trying to get the bus driver to stop. Happily, he noticed me, stopped, and just as I closed the door, still panicking, I see the guy grabbing at the door, trying to open it. Too late. The bus starts moving away. I thank the bus driver profusely. He said he noticed the guy running behind me, and that I was in a panic, and that's why he stopped. I'm not a religious person, but damn it, it felt like someone was looking out for me and sent the bus in the nick of time to save me. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Sinful Society. Thank you guys again for all the positive comments, all the love, the support that you throw my way each and every day. Be sure to subscribe, guys. I know I mention it in the beginning and the end of all my videos. The more subscribers we have, the more our channel will flourish throughout the years to come. So, if you're watching this, hit that little button. Stay sinful.